Hey folks, exciting day today. I got my hands on a copy of the Titan Quest 2 demo version and I've played through it. Going to give you my take on it. Pretty fun game. Just so you know how to access it, there's two ways you can access it. You can go to Steam and go to the Titan Quest 2 page and request a game key, or you can go to the Epic Game Store and just add it to your cart and you can get it that way. I feel like the Epic Game Store way is a lot more streamlined. As for what to expect, the demo itself is free. There's about 1 to 2 hours of content depending on how much you play around with the different classes. If you just went straight from the starting area to the last boss of the demo, it would probably only just be like an hour or so, I would say. The format that I'm going to do for this video is I'll just kind of cut up the game footage into some of the more interesting parts and I'll just kind of talk over it. And there'll be a bit of a mix of me talking over slash, my actual reaction when I was playing in the moment. In the character creator, you basically just select a preset look. This doesn't have any effect on your stats because you select your masteries later on in the game. I chose the Greek-looking Giga Chad because, it's a Titan Quest game, so why not? So you start off in a Greek town, and it's pretty reminiscent of the beginning of the first game, actually, where you have to go kill some boars and save a village and whatnot. Very similar kind of look and style. Once you get in, you start being able to use your auto attack. The combat is pretty fluid. It feels responsive when you hit something.
Fair of the mortals' victories.
So far, the game is completely voice acted. Like all of the lines are spoken, and the voice acting seems to be pretty good. There's also a really nice little portrait thing that comes up when you speak to a important NPC.
A griffin. It's getting more aggressive. The griffin grows more dangerous every day.
Early on, you get a quest where an NPC comes and helps you like a companion, which is pretty nice. Also, can I just say that this game is absolutely gorgeous. It's very striking. They managed to keep the old style, but just upgrade it to like a modern look. It's very nice.
By the Mycenaeans, the heroes of old received the gods' gifts at this shrine. You'll need its blessing to stand against the griffin.
Once you level up, you get access to your attribute points, but honestly, at this point in the playthrough, I didn't understand what they were or how they worked, so I'm going to put a clip from later in my playthrough when I fully understood what was going on. So the stats in this game have a really cool way of working too, where there's kind of like your 3 core stats, and then they kind of influence some other minor stats. So, and whatever points that you get in the core stats, you get points for the 2 minor stats that are next to it. So for example, with agility, you would get points in fitness and cunning. And so agility is fast attacking weapons kind of stuff, light armor, medium armor. And then fitness, this is strike damage and pierce damage. This is poison and lightning. This one here, fire and cold. Depending on what kind of edge of the attribute tree you want to be on, you get bonuses for being in between the 2 things. So if I really wanted to boost up cunning, I would probably go hybrid agility and knowledge, because every time I put points into agility and knowledge, I would get cunning as well. And then vigor goes for all 3. So then you don't get punished for putting points into some health and whatnot. Alright, back to the playthrough. So after killing some big bats and making our way through the cave, we get to the altar where we're able to choose our mastery.
Only those the shrine chooses. You're the finest I've ever trained. Go on. See if the shrine answers to you. You have been measured. Rise and accept your blessing.
Can we all take a moment to appreciate how amazing the title music is as well? With the woman singing, oh my god! That theme comes up multiple times, and it's incredible. Okay, so now we get into choosing a mastery. This is very similar to the old system where you get 2 masteries, and then you get to kind of split your points between the 2 masteries. Now, the way that this differs from Titan Quest 1 is that the passives and the actives are on different parts of the tree, and you get points for actives and points for passives rather than just points that can be spent on anything. So it's a pretty similar system, but it's just slightly different. In the early playthrough, there's currently just Earth, Storm, and Warfare, but I expect it's going to be a lot more masteries in this when the game fully launches. So I chose Warfare at the beginning just because I wanted to see how melee felt. My plan was to go Warfare and then Storm later on. You might notice that on the bottom, there are some extra skills that are not part of the Warfare tree. Those are your like core abilities, so your basic attack. There's a shield and there's a dodge. And actually later on I found out that putting some points into shield later is actually really important for defense. But at the very beginning, you want to pick out a active skill for sure. And then also you can put some points into some passives. So for Warfare, there's like kind of like a whirlwindy look kind of skill and then like a big heavy slam. And I ended up going with the heavy slam. And then for passives, there's like percent damage and weapon damage as well. So there's like physical and weapon damage. So the nice thing about this is if you wanted to go like lightning or something like that, like but I'll do later, the generic weapon damage will scale those lightning hits as well. As for difficulty, I'd say the difficulty was actually fairly high. As you can see, things are hitting pretty hard. I was like kiting back, I was like using my abilities, using all my potions, using my shield. The mana cost for the slam was pretty decent as well, so I had to leave like my auto in there as well. So overall, the combat was definitely challenging. Just to showcase the combat a bit more, I'll show the first like little mini boss that you fight. And it's pretty hard. I died on it the first time. I'll show that here. Now, of course, part of it is just me misplaying the fight and not knowing what I'm doing.
Which one of you is responsible for this pathetic attempt at resistance? You like playing the hero, do you? Then fight me. My master will enjoy using your corpse as a plaything.
Not another attack. I'll protect the villagers. You take care.
Okay, so I didn't play this fight very well by any means, but this fight does showcase some of the downsides of the melee combat in this game. And specifically, I feel like there's some issue with targeting, where targeting doesn't always work. So if you watch right here, okay, target the guy, attack right next to his feet. This happens all the time. I feel like I'm missing things just because the targeting just doesn't feel quite right. I feel like in PoE, if you did that, it would just like, you know, target the closest person to your cursor if you're off by like a pixel or something like that. But in this game, you just attack right next to the feet, and that doesn't feel very satisfying. So I feel like that's something that needs to be improved. Shortly after saving the village, we get our second mastery. Then things start to get like really synergistic. I ended up going with the Storm Mastery. I started off with a Storm spell, and it has like a modifier on it that allows you to gain some Rage when you hit, and that increases your attack damage. So my goal was to like, you know, maybe hit first with the Lightning spell, and then follow up with the big heavy slam after. The spells look really nice in this game, like with the Lightning Strike. It's always like slightly different. There's like some variation in the skill look, which I really appreciate. Alright, so here's a bit of a closer and better look at how the mastery system works. So basically, you put points into a skill or a passive, and as you level it up, it gains modifier slots, and then you can spend those modifier slots with modifiers, and depending on how powerful the modifier is, it'll use either like 1 or 2 or maybe more slots. And so that means that basically, if you want to invest into a skill and get like the best modifiers, you have to put more points into that skill. So you get kind of rewarded for investing into a skill. Some things that I've seen here, for this one, for example, with heavy attack, the one that like makes you hit twice, which effectively almost doubles your damage, that uses 2 modifier slots, so it's like really powerful. And then there's like some that make it so you have more damage, more chance to stun. Or the one at the very left is some penetration, and that's like generic, so you can use it in a variety of different builds. So there's a lot of build diversity here. Here's a little clip from later on when I was kind of playing around with the different skills. And it's actually got a lot of synergy between the different. So I picked Warfare and Storm. And so, like, initially I was like, oh, like, they don't have, like, an attack lightning one here. So, like, there wasn't much synergy. But the more I look into it, the more I realize, like, oh, there's actually a lot of synergy. Because even though this one here is a spell, and I'm not scaling it with my attacks, there's, like, I can get Rage on hit with it. And then up here, I go into Storm Nimbus, this is like an aura. One of the modifiers here, where did it go? It's cold. You could add like cold damage to your weapon or like lightning damage to your weapon and have 100% damage conversion as well. And then like scale up the damage on this side. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Even the passives have like extra passives. It's kind of like the mastery system in Path of Exile, actually. One of the passives on this node here is Ether Shield, where you get extra maximum energy, and then when you're above half your energy, some of the damage you take gets absorbed by the energy. It's kind of like almost like an energy shield kind of thing. The item system in this game is pretty similar to how it was in Titan Quest 1. It's classic ARPG system where you have like affixes, prefixes, suffixes with different values. It's too early to tell yet, but I hope they bring back the old system where there was kind of like these like pseudo legendary slash uniques where they had some fixed affixes and then some that would change, so you can kind of like tailor them to your build. That system was really cool. Another point of contention for me was the lack of information in some of the tooltips and whatnot, especially for new players. Here's a clip of my first reaction. The only thing I wish is that there was like a little bit more information here about like what this is. I can't click on this. I'd love to like click on this and see like what it's actually giving me, because it says basis for poison damage and lightning damage, but I actually don't know what that means. Like, is that like 20% increased damage, 50%? Maybe I'm like missing something here. Oh wait, there's the core stats are here. Cunning is 107, but like what does it actually do? So I think there could be definitely an increase in clarity of like what this is actually doing. It's hard to tell just from that page alone. Alright, we're finally at the Griffin's Nest. I might just sell some stuff and get a better weapon before I try to take on the Griffin, because I'm still using a white weapon from like a while back. See if we can get something with lightning damage on it so I can get the fantasy of the lightning
Give that Griffin a good throw.
Damn, this thing's OP. Yeah, this thing's OP. Let's take that. The Bardiche. After replacing my weapon, I return to the nest to face the boss for the first time.
Well, if it isn't the hero of Proti Village. Come to bask in my presence, have you? Be warned, my servants were weak, but I am as terrible as I am beautiful!
Oh my god. He hits hard. I feel like this one would definitely be easier with a ranged build. Oh, I keep messing up my auto attack. Oh! I got blasted. At this point, I returned to the world and started to farm some more loot so I could better gear my character, and I kind of like tweaked things within the build. I was also just trying out the different skills in the mastery and seeing what I liked the most. And once I felt sufficiently geared, I went back to Griffin's Nest to face our old friend, and I felt like I was quite a bit more prepared this time. Got the homing on the ice. I also noticed that with the ice move, when you cast it 3 times, you get up to like maximum stacks of overpower, and then when you use the like heavy slam, it consumes those to deal more damage. So I kind of tweaked the tree a bit, tweaked the passives to make it deal more damage on the big heavy slam. So it's like focusing the damage on the heavy slam and not really focusing any of the damage on the ice at all. Just using it to like buff the heavy slam. And the damage was a lot better this time around. And I still did it at level 6, so you can see it. Just a little bit of change in gear and more optimized skill tree, and that ended up making a pretty big difference between the 2 fights. And the Griffin is basically the end of the playtest. There's like a little bit after where you go down a hallway, you fight some ghosts, and then there's some cutscenes, which by the way were really well done, but that's the bulk of it there. So I guess now I'll go on to some pros and cons about Titan Quest 2. Let's start off with the pros. The biggest pro for me is the mastery system. I think it's really cool. I think that it'll have a lot of build diversity as more masteries come in. The nice thing about it is that you have the passives and the actives that are split apart, whereas in Titan Quest 1, they're all kind of on the same tree, so you end up picking a lot of passives because you want to scale your damage. You end up not picking up as many actives as you would like sometimes. But in this, you don't have to choose because you get points for both, which is, I think, a really nice upgrade. The mastery system is also relatively easy to comprehend. I think once you get the hang of it, it's like pretty self-explanatory of like what to do with the different like modifiers and things like that. Although I think maybe they could use like a little tutorial at the very beginning just to show people like how to like click into it and then like assign the thing, because I didn't see that until a little bit later, but once I saw it I understood it. Like it's pretty easy to understand. My next pro is the visuals. The style, the icons, and the borders all have this kind of Greek look, which I think is really nice. It fits with the theme of the game. The environment looks and sounds great, especially the water and like the backdrops. And that kind of also ties in with the fact that there's nice verticality in the game. You feel like you're up on a perch sometimes, like looking down over things. It's really nice. Skill effects, armor, and weapons are also really high quality. And on that note, I didn't see a cash shop or any cosmetics in the game. And now, Titan Quest 1 had a model where they would put out the base game, that was a paid base game, and then they would have like expansions every year or 2 years or so. So I'm kind of hoping that that's the method that they go for and that they stay away from all the cosmetics. One last pro is the writing and the voice acting seems to be really good so far. It's too early in the game to tell how good it'll be like long term into the game. You'll need to see like the full story to get a sense of that, but from what I've seen so far, it does seem to be positive. All right, on to the cons. So the big con for me is the way that melee feels to play. Now, this is a problem in a lot of different games, but at this point, we're kind of hoping that ARPGs are going to come up with some sort of solutions. In that last boss fight, there was a lot of stuff that didn't really seem super avoidable. Maybe it was because it was like name locking on you too quickly, and then it was your character's like at that point in the game too slow and lumbering to actually get out of the way of a lot of the things. So that's kind of unfortunate. And then there's also the problem I alluded to earlier, which is that there's weird targeting issues with some of the melee skills. So I hope that gets fixed over time as well. Another con for me is the menus and some of the information and tooltips are just like missing vital information. I gave an example earlier about like the attributes and like what do they do. It's hard to tell. The character sheet is kind of hidden away. It's not easy to follow. Yeah, it's just hard to tell like how much damage you're going to be doing and like what kinds of things will be improving your damage. I feel like there's some adjustments that could be made there. Some people would consider the lack of a true character creator to be a downside, but again, I don't really think that that's an issue because most people don't spend that much time looking at their character in ARPGs. Right, so what do I give the game overall? I'd say it would be about a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10 so far. It's pretty early in the development. We only have like the bit of the first act and 3 masteries, which I know we'll have. If it's anything like Titan Quest 1, we'll probably have somewhere between 7 and 10. So I expect the game to get a lot larger. If you do have a chance to check out the playtest, I recommend you do so. I think it's only around until Sunday though, so there's definitely a time crunch there. Make sure that you get a chance to check this out before it goes away. And if you made it this far, be sure to like and sub. I am trying to grow the channel, so it helps when people like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.